And now for a message from Paco, the friendly homophobe.
That's me.
Mr. Jimenez, Paco! Hi, yeah, can you make sure that you and your guys get the bushes this time? Because last time, you missed them, and I really need to trim the hedges.
See, I trimmed the bushes. I'm sorry for the mistake last time.
That's fine. Would you or your crew like some Long Island iced teas or Pepperidge Farm cookies?
No, it's okay.
Nothing I can get you.
No, not for me. And even though it's because you're a very nice man. And when I say this, I mean no offense. Because you pay me very well and treat me very much like a professional. But I am not comfortable drinking from your glass or eating from your cookie jar because you are not straight.
Join Mug Club today for $89 annually or try it mugless for $9 a month. You can sign up at louderwithcreditor.com/mugclub for the entire catalog, including 100% more of this show.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got breaking news coming from the Louder with Crowder team that is shocking and offensive.
The secretly recorded conversations with Dr. J. Varma, the city's former COVID czar, is creating shockwaves.
The former COVID czar for New York City was caught on tape by YouTuber Steven Crowder.
On the front page of the New York Post this morning.
He was caught on hidden video posted by conservative podcaster Steven Crowder.
The video, released by conservative podcaster Steven Crowder, shows Varma boasting about violating the city's COVID restrictions.
A conservative podcaster secretly recorded him saying he attended sex parties during the pandemic.
He talks about how, kids lost years of learning because of these policies that they created.
It looks like a case of do as I say, not as I don't.
We were told to stay home. You were on lockdown.
Now a city councilman is calling for an investigation into Dr. J. Varma.
We are demanding an investigation.
Dr. Varma was a trusted voice during the height of the pandemic.
I had no knowledge of it. I find it disgusting and unacceptable.
These people are corrupt.
What's good for me is not good for thee.
Steven Crowder and his team, I'm getting chills, are moving the freaking needle.
There are J. Varmas, Dr. Varmas all over the country. Little dictators, essentially, in every single major American city around the country.
Shout out to the Crowder team and the work they've been doing. This is not the first time they've broken something big.
But there's just so many of these stories out there that Mug Club Undercover is uncovering and getting out into the public.
We also need to keep up people's belief that the drug works. That's what we want the story to be.
Glad to be with you, and you know what? I really am today.
Mm-hmm.
I feel better because I'm fueled by rage today.
As you should be.
With Zelensky. Let's just bring up the rundown. Zelensky is in Pennsylvania demanding more money. I don't like Putin. I also think Zelensky's a douchebag. Hillary Clinton, I bet she was going to make a comeback in a cabinet position, likely some kind of misinformation czar type role. I'll make my case, and this election may be a tie, which we will talk about, because of Nebraska. The first time it's been consequential in a very long time, but I say that with all due respect to Nebraska, Omaha notwithstanding. And we also have a recap. I don't know if you know this. Jay Varma, because of you, Mug Club got fired from his job at a pharmaceutical company or research company, and we have an update tomorrow. What's fun, but it's like the outcome has already happened. So
to a degree, we got a little bit of the result prior.
Yeah,
which,
exactly.
Just kind of set it up.
So a lot to get to, and of course, if at some point today you see this, Head on over to Rumble if you're on YouTube. It's a weekday show, 10 a.m. Eastern, including Friday if you're a member of Mug Club. Let me ask you this. Putin, I don't like him. Don't get me wrong. Okay? But Zelensky, if Putin is a 10, if he's a 9, how bad do you think Zelensky is? I'm going to make my case, and it has to do with resource predators versus process predators, which I had explained to me by someone who was more of an expert in criminality and home invasions and muggings. Two very different archetypes, two very different distinct types that you may deal with in conflict, and how you deal with one is the exact opposite as to how you should deal with the other. I don't know what Zelensky is. I don't know if he's a resource. I know that Putin is at least a resource predator. I don't know if Zelensky is a resource predator or a process predator, meaning fame. And if he wants the fame and the cash and the world spotlight, and there's an election if the war stops, what incentive does he, the only incentive a guy like that would have to try and end the war would have to be inherently altruistic in spite of his own job stability. I don't know that he has that kind of character. Genuinely comment below, because I don't want this to be one of those things where it's, Russian propaganda where we're in a train station that's basically the Blazing Saddles town telling you the cost of living is so low. Not that. And I don't want to be the people who are out there saying, let's just open our checkbook, blank check to Ukraine. I think most Americans, I think you watching, know that something doesn't smell right on all sides. Please comment. And the reason I want you to comment is so that other people don't feel so alone. People feel like they have to pick a team in this one. I think they're all assholes.
It's fair. It's fair.
Captain Morgan, CEO number 2, back from New York. How are you?
I am doing well. The city that I'm in now smells much better.
Yes.
Not all parts, but some parts, and you know it. Okay?
Well, that's not their fault. It's the feces and monkeypox.
True.
And when you hear this, you know who it is. October 26th, Bricktown Comedy Club in Oklahoma City. One of my favorite places. Josh Firestine, how are you?
Good. I'm excited to see what Hillary's new job is going to be.
Yeah.
If Kamala gets elected.
Yes.
I heard she's already writing a book about it.
Yes.
My turn to intern.
Yes.
Finally, she can get under that desk.
Yes, exactly. Which, by the way, the weirdest thing with all that was humidor. Like, I like cigars and I like women. The combination is not something that I would think, because it's compostable, a cigar, and in a moisture-rich environment. Let's go to Sam Elliott and the Lincoln Project teamed up for, and I'm going to play this for you in its entirety, because many of you maybe have not seen it, and there's a reason why afterward. Sam Elliott, Lincoln Project, yes, they're known for pedophiles, teamed up for the gayest election ad of all time. Please watch.
I can't believe we're having this conversation again. So here we go. You know who the candidates are. You know what's at stake. One candidate promises a divided America filled with lies and hate. And one stands for change. Kamala Harris has more courage, more honor, more guts than this guy ever had. So you decide.
Hold.
Are we really going back down that same broken road, or are we moving forward towards hope, towards freedom, towards change?
We know a strong middle class has always been critical to America's success.
There's promise that lies in change, and the time for change is now.
No, it literally is now.
What are you waiting for?
It could be right now.
It's the woman thing. It's time.
She could
to get
do
over
it
that.
now.
It's time.
I believe in her as a woman to do it
change.
now.
It's time to be a man and vote for a woman.
Holy. I want to commit suicide. That is, I mean, literally, it was, here's some word salad. And then, be a man, vote for a woman. They're not even trying to hide it. Nothing, change. Vote for the bitch. It's just completely.
Change from what, though? Like,
vapid. What? Change from. Hey, look.
I don't understand.
I know we have low expectations of the women in the Democratic Party, Hillary Clinton, Gretchen Whitmer, Kamala Harris. But there's an old saying, don't put off to tomorrow what you can accomplish today. You can implement change today. Also, I don't know how voting for a woman is a prerequisite to being a man. It's almost like all throughout human history, it was completely irrelevant. So this makes no sense at all, but it makes more sense when you understand that these celebrities are not acting on their own. This doesn't just happen organically. I don't even think Sam Elliott wants to be Sam Elliott today, as displayed by the exclusive obtaining of the first take that took place.
I can't believe we're having this conversation again. Oh, here we go. You know the candidates are. You know what's at stake. One candidate promises a divided America filled with lies and hate. And one stands for change. Wait a second. Change from what? Hey, Lyle? The f*** is vice president now?
Just read the lines, Sam.
Well, let's just get through the rest of this. Kamala Harris has more courage, honor, more guts than the other guy ever had. So you decide. We're really going back down that f***ing road? Hey, Lyle, you think I need to curse here? Feels a bit performative.
Nah, it's endearing.
Look, it's time to be a man and vote for a woman. Holy f***, who writes this shit? You really want me to say that?
You're being paid handsomely. Just read it, Sam.
I don't give a shit. You want me to go up there and say, it's time to be a man, vote for a woman? How the f*** does that make sense? If I say that line out loud, it'll be the last line I ever f***ing deliver.
What?
Trying to make a mockery of me. Humiliation.
No.
That's your game, Lyle. F*** you and your stupid whore wife.
Wow, it got personal.
Yeah, that'll really convince the real cowboys.
Yeah. That's exactly.
Who's that for? Like,
don't you know, when you're out there on the range or you're tilling your fields.
Yeah, sure. The range. Yeah, your ranch you've owned since the 70s in
Operating,
Malibu? Okay.
Yeah. Your truck, your scythe, sling blades, and what you really need is a soft touch of a woman.
Oh, I thought you were going to say a cigarette.
Well, when you're done with her.
Wasn't that guy supposed to get lung cancer years ago?
This makes no sense. None whatsoever. Taylor Swift's reasoning was, the most important issue to me is LGBTQ+. And Sam Elliott's like,
oh my Miller time. Be a man by being a woman.
Wait,
fine.
It's just
okay. All right. It's just. Of course, it goes with the Lincoln Project.
Yeah.
Had to take a break from diddling kids.
Yes, pedophiles for Harris.
For those of you saying ad hominem, it is a thing. You can look it up.
Yes, look it up.
And look, we're not afraid to take the controversial positions here at Mug Club.
Be a man. Sit down and be.
Yes. Like, what? What did he just say? Okay.
You must be insecure if you're not using that bidet.
That's what it is.
You can get dog shit on your shoe, you use paper towels, you hose it off. Be a man, switch to vape.
We're not afraid to take controversial positions. Here at Mug Club, I know it will lose fans. We are anti-pedophile.
Yes.
So that's why I can say that about the Lincoln Project, because we are supported by viewers like you. And of course, you can click that button if you're not a member. You join $89 annually, you get this hand-dash girthy mug, you get 100% more show, you support Mug Club Undercover, you get Alex Jones on Fridays, or you can go mugless for $9 a month, and I'm not going to lie to you. Hey, we've spent many, many millions of dollars on these undercover pieces and the election live stream of the century. We need you guys to show the rest of the world that this is something that we all think is worthwhile, and we answer to you. So that's all. I ask that you allow us to earn your support. We appreciate it. You know who doesn't have my support?
Who?
Zelensky.
Oh, why not?
Well, I don't like him. I don't like him, and I want to hurt him. I don't want to kill him, just to be clear. But I do mean, I'd like to play something in his path to the bathroom at night that in the dark he'd stub his toe.
Like
you know
a Roomba.
Yes.
Like something heavy, though.
Yeah.
Like a Roomba, heavy. You're like, I'm glad I got you this for Christmas.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And then it'll go off the stairs because they're effectively retarded. Now, Zelensky, and Biden is speaking at the UN. Mission Control, you can let us know if we need to address it. What
a nightmare for the translator.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know what the hell he said. No one knows.
AI's broken now because of it.
AI kills itself. It initiates self-abort. What a world, what a world.
Cannot compute.
Perhaps there is a reason for his... Oh my God, I've looked up the pictures. He showers with his daughter. Why would you make me read that? I hate you. Kill me.
Great timing.
That's great.
Oh, I must leave. I will find solace in Hunter Biden's. Oh, God! She was your niece. What an evil family.
Yes.
So Zelensky was in the United States yesterday while his country's at war, particularly a swing state, weighing in on the election and talking crap on one half of the potential choices. I can allow you to guess which one. It took place at a munitions factory in Pennsylvania. Here's a clip. He's very short.
You said that 400 people work here, but I wanted very much to come here and to thank you. 400 people saved millions of Ukrainians. Because of the result of your work, I'm very thankful, just from ordinary Ukrainians to you.
Sell this on eBay. My autograph.
Yeah.
So,
from Zelensky with love.
It is all Ukrainians are very grateful to you, Pennsylvania. It is because of you. And this is the kind of thing, I get that it's a photo op, that makes a lot of people think this isn't real, that it's manufactured. You know what you never heard? Someone come in and go, oh, thank you. You're the chaps who defeated Hitler, Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Thank you, Harrisburg, for single-handedly fighting off Stalin. It's like, what people, if you were to say that to people in Pittsburgh, they go, what?
What are you talking about?
That guy just say we defeated Hitler here and does he know he's in Pittsburgh? So this is just pandering and him signing an artillery shell. Hey, I don't know if you know this. Your country's at war. And for him to enter into this arena and try and, it should be grossly offensive, and I don't use that term often, for someone in a foreign nation who is dependent entirely on the money from the United States to weigh in on an election that directly impacts that money flowing into his pocket. And that has nothing to do with the fact that Putin is a KGB piece of garbage. But before I get into this, look, this is where I really, really don't like Putin. I know that. But I'm really starting to dislike Zelensky. And it's the difference between, I had someone describe this to me. This is what I mentioned at the top of the show. If you're dealing with someone who's mugging you or breaking into your house, you need to differentiate between, I can't remember where I was taught this, so I'm sure someone can find it. I'm sure it's probably taught somewhere in psychology courses. A resource predator versus a process predator. What that means is a resource predator. Think someone who's robbing your house because they want jewelry, expensive electronics, things like that. Right? They want to get in and out. They want that crime to be committed with as little resistance and as little effort or difficulty on their part as possible. They are looking for a resource, okay? The process predator is a sociopath who likes inflicting pain, who likes hurting you, who enjoys the process. And these are two very distinct people who you may find yourself in a conflict with. Here's why it really matters. How you handle a resource predator actually turns on, arouses the process predator, and vice versa. In other words, how you handle a resource predator, give me your watch, give me your wallet. The best thing you can do is, here's my watch, here's my... They don't want to fight. They don't want to shoot you. They don't want to hurt you. They want your watch and your wallet. But if you do that to a process predator, give me your watch and your wallet. You hand it over. He now feels like God. He hasn't had the process. He's going to have to hurt you anyway. You're emboldening him, and you're basically forcing him to move that line further and further because he's not looking for the wallet. He's looking to torture you, to damage you. Same thing. If you fight back against a process predator and make it incredibly... you have to kill him, to be clear, pretty much, if you're in a life or death conflict. You do that with a resource predator, you may now have escalated it and put him in a fight or flight response that he never planned to go into in the first place. He just wanted your stuff. You need to be able to identify the difference. We know that, here's what we do know. Putin is absolutely a resource predator, okay? He does want portions of Ukraine. Is he a process predator? I don't know. I genuinely don't know. I don't know that he likes war for war's sake. I'm 50. There's a possibility. There's also a possibility that he needs to save face right now. Right? It's an ego thing. Zelensky, pretty sure he's a process predator. In that sense, what I mean is this is a guy who desperately sought out fame. His entire life, he was a middling comedian. He will never be more famous and more wealthy than he is today, and as long as this war keeps going. Elections are suspended. If this war is ended, there's a very strong chance he's out and that gravy train stops. I don't know that this guy wants it to end. And I'm starting to think that he is just as much of a problem globally to the United States, not as far as evil. Putin started this, he's wrong, but as far as out as Putin. I don't know that Zelensky has any interest in ending this. Not saying Putin does, but we kind of started off with Zelensky maybe wanted to, it was a defensive war. I don't think we're there anymore. That's just my opinion, and you can please comment. Resource predator versus process predator. What do you think Zelensky is? Or do you think he's just a defenseless victim in all this? That's also a position that you can hold. What did happen in Pennsylvania was basically a Democrat campaign event.
Yes. I wonder why. I wonder what that tells you about what the Democrats are going to do if they win.
Yes. Well, he was flown to Pennsylvania on U.S. Air Force C-17. Really? It was on an Air Force C-17?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Your tax dollars, by the way. And then Pennsylvania governor, also not vice presidential candidate, too Jewy, Josh Shapiro, joined, and he signed his own artillery shell. So that's fun.
Foreign nation participating in a campaign stop. Like Zelensky's in town to speak at the UN, which I think he may have already done or is set to do. I don't remember. I haven't seen it. I've been traveling. But they're like, hey,
did he wear a mock neck sweater? No. I'll bet he wore a mock neck sweater.
Probably. We're like combat fatigue looking stuff, right? Yeah. He basically is like, hey, let's jump on a plane and go to this munitions plant so that we can, like get people to give us more money to give to you.
Well, and then Zelensky, by the way, also.
It's a terrible look, too.
Yes, it is.
An American governor?
Yeah.
Signing an artillery round that's going to be killing Russia. That's a bad look.
Yes, it is absolutely a bad look. But the left is the party of perpetual war. The Democrat Party. Certainly today, Code Pink, they're not stopping here. So Zelensky also took the opportunity to criticize Donald Trump and specifically J.D. Vance, which was interesting and completely out of line, calling J.D. Vance too radical. And then he encouraged Vance to study World War II.
He did.
Do you know how I know this is basically he was force-fed Democrat talking points? Ask me how I know this is basically him being force-fed Democrat talking points.
How do you know?
Because the Democrats don't believe that J.D. Vance lacks a grasp in history.
Really?
Here's what they do. If you are a Republican, if you're a conservative, they say you're dumb. If they can't make that work, they just say you're evil. Or in this case, weird. Richard Nixon, evil. Ronald Reagan, dumb. George Bush Sr., evil. George Bush Jr., dumb. Donald Trump, little of column A, little of column B. That's what they always do. If they know that it's a pretty tough sell to say you're stupid, they say you're evil. They just say Vance is evil and weird. Because, and I can look at this objectively, you've never heard me say that Donald Trump is a reliable historian. J.D. Vance, of everyone on... Well, first off, certainly at the top of these tickets.
Yeah.
But I would say as far as your representatives go, would be top 1% of people who definitely exhibits a firm understanding and quite an impressive recall as it relates to history and foreign policy. Here's J.D. Vance. Here's something you won't see because it makes far too much sense. The Quincy Institute describing the difference between Israel and Ukraine and also a little bit of history.
If you look at what Israel is doing just with the Iron Beam system, for example, this is a system that would allow America and our allies to actually achieve some parity with the people who are sending drones and rocket attacks and so forth. There is no way that we can long-term fight a missile defense battle against people if they're paying 1/10 or 1/100th for offensive weapons that we are paying for defensive weapons. And the Israelis are doing the most important work to actually give us missile defense parity. So my biggest criticism of our approach in Ukraine is that it has no strategic end in sight and it's not leading anywhere that's going to ultimately be good for our country. But the second biggest criticism I make about the war in Ukraine and our approach to it is that we are subsidizing the Europeans to do nothing. The Europeans are not carrying their fair share of the burden, especially when it comes in provision of weapons and they're deindustrializing their own country at the same time that they say that Putin must be defeated at all costs. If Putin must be defeated at all costs to our German friends, then stop deindustrializing your own country in the name of a ridiculous green energy policy.
I don't think I've heard anyone, presidential candidate or vice presidential candidate in recent memory, make a more clear, concise, argument that is almost impossible to disagree with. You can disagree with the outcome and just say, well, you know what? I don't care. I still think that we need to foot the bill because the war is worthwhile. But you can't disagree with the premise because, again, he has a firm grasp on history. Zelensky says, yeah, study World War II. You know what? How about we play a game of quiz show with the two of you? We'll even let you wrap up your dick so you can play piano, because I know that probably puts you in a meditative state with better short-term recall. And understanding that, I think he has a basis to say what he said when he flat out stated, I don't care about Ukraine.
I think it's ridiculous that we're focused on this border in Ukraine. I got to be honest with you. I don't really care what happens to Ukraine one way or another.
You may not like it, but people, why don't politicians just talk and say what they feel? There you go. There you go. He says what he feels and he says what he thinks and he substantiates it. I don't know how you can ask for more. That's why they go, he's just weird, because they can't make him out to be dumb. Zelensky didn't get the memo. Went over his head.
Yeah. Yeah, J.D. Vance is not he doesn't come across as somebody who's uneducated as well. When he's doing all the interviews with all the big Sunday shows or CNN at night, MSC, whatever, whoever has him on, he comes across as a smart, competent guy. Now, the only thing that I will say that somebody will play that clip back that we played earlier on the Quincy Institute was he said Iron Beam. I think he meant Iron Dome.
Right.
People can misspeak. I don't mind that. What I'm saying is that this guy has an understanding and a grasp that Europe has to take a role in this if they want this to be resolved. Zelensky has to look at this situation. You know what saves millions of Ukrainian lives, if that's how many have been lost? A peace deal. Even if the peace deal that you come to is not ideal. Yeah. I don't know, and I know that there's been poison pills and some of the offers that have gone back and forth. We were talking about it with Lane earlier. But you've got to say at some point, okay, if I want to save lives, here's how I can do it. It's not appeasing somebody. Yeah. It's basically saying, here is how to do it. In Europe, you have to stand up and pay for this guy. You want to go visit somewhere? Go visit somewhere in Europe and ask for money. Stop coming to the United States.
And you know what else?
It's important to ask his own people what they want.
That's true.
They're conscripting people in the military.
Yeah.
That sounds like they don't want the freaking war.
Yeah. That's a good
I mean, if you're going door to door, pulling people out and put them in a van, it feels like maybe they don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah, maybe there's some resistance there. Also, you know what you've never heard? Kamala Harris or Tim Walz describe the differences between the conflicts in the Middle East, like Israel and Russia, Ukraine. Guess what you'll never hear? Exactly that. Now, Donald Trump even stated yesterday, he entered into this, because you have to when you have an international leader, a foreign leader, with basically a blank check from the United States government, and one party is promising them an open-ended blank check. Yeah, you kind of have to enter into the fray. And he said that Zelensky is, great salesman, and of course wants Kamala to win, which is true.
Ukraine now, I see Zelensky is here. I think Zelensky's the greatest salesman in history. Every time he comes into the country, he walks away with $60 billion. Walks in with $60 billion. He wants them to win this election so badly.
And that's a bit of an exaggeration, but it's over. What is it? 150-ish
as far as pledged,
and you given. So it's not 60 billion every time he come into the country, but they'll fact check him on that and be like, yeah, Donald Trump lied and said 60 billion. Well, tell me what it is, Daniel Dale.
He can't walk into a DC 7-Eleven without getting another 10 bill.
Or crack in New York.
That's true. Loves crack. That's what people tell me about Zelensky. He's a crackhead. I say he couldn't. They say he does. I say okay.
So, also, I don't know if you know this in military news, there's a strong chance that the United States, or perhaps one half, plans to enter the war because the Army just removed a bunch of key diversity requirements.
No.
As far as recruiting. Yeah, this comes from military.com. The Army's top enlisted leader has removed key guidance that required diversity to be considered when selecting individuals to serve in upper-level non-commissioned non-commissioned officer positions, which would suggest that war may be coming. And let me explain to you why I believe that. Oh, that's right, because someone who we knew, our Navy friend, and a previous undercover story said that, the whole DEI thing goes away the second China invades Taiwan. If you see it go away, it means we're going to war.
I'm sure during a time of war, we don't really, would diversity be so important?
No, it's not. That's why I told you, depending on, they say it all the time. As soon as China invades Taiwan, none of this is going to matter.
Yeah, because it turns out you don't want shrill, blue-haired, land whale feminist bitches when it comes to war. You want the guys you've accused of being the perpetuators of patriarchy. Largely, redneck white guys. And yeah, strong black Latino, just men in general speaking. But the people you vilified for so long, those traditionally masculine men, those are the people who you need to go and fight war. Now we forget it as it relates to elections, right? When we're away from war, because you're not really concerned with the draft, and you don't necessarily represent people who are eligible for the draft and the people who, built this civilization. It didn't start with skyscrapers and climate control, but I get it. You only need the men when it's time to do some dying.
Right. Can we just stop playing around with this? Like this should never have been a consideration. I don't like the fact that we may have won on this. Because, unfortunately, it doesn't seem like they had a change of heart. They didn't have a flash of genius moment like we talked about. Like, diversity, maybe not the thing that we need to look at in the military. Maybe it's the effectiveness of the fighting force, and that's what we should be going with. I don't like it's because we might be going to war. Right. Like, I want the result, but just not the outcome.
Well, don't worry. You're safe. You got the bum knee. By the way, this is why we need, while we're talking about the military, we need you, Mug Club Army. You can enroll at mugclubarmy.com. It's a closed-circuit mailing list, which means you won't get any ads, you won't get any news updates. It just lets you know how you can take part in our election live stream. And, if you want to volunteer or take part in some of the undercover journalism, we are crowdsourcing truth. So we appreciate it. mugclubarmy.com. What?
I need to be admonished.
What did you say?
Yeah,
it is beam. It is
J.D. Vance is actually smarter.
Yeah, I didn't want to correct you because unlike you, I don't like to embarrass you.
Stop it. What did I get wrong then?
Beam was right.
So I didn't realize. But listen, I thought this was like the Jewish space laser thing, okay? But it turns out they got some lasers, okay?
It is Jewish space laser.
You know what, though?
Jewish space laser. I'm just like, okay, well, Iron Beam is the thing. And I thought in the back of my head, I think maybe he meant Iron Dome, but maybe there's something I don't know about. Iron Beam, there you go, boom.
I appreciate that you took it upon yourself to wear that shame.
I do.
Because you deserve it, but I felt like it's not my job to be the execution.
You did.
I was going to say something, but every time I do, I get this pushback.
Shut up.
And then I have to go on Twitter later and be like, see, I told you the Iron Beam's a sick laser.
And Gerald's like, no, Josh, it's not.
That's
there
his
is
voice.
no beam.
He has the Bronson voice.
Yeah. Mendham drives the women crazy.
Iron Beam.
Iron Beam. Because the Jews don't look around. All right.
Ladies call my member an Iron Beam.
That's right. And I should know what kind of beam the Jews have. Because you see,
can't be
I
iron.
am one.
Can't be iron. It's not possible.
My captain no longer wears his hat.
Oh, boy.
Mandem.
4 people understand it. Likely from Japan. All right. It was a very popular cologne from Charles Bronson in the late 1970s. All right. Speaking of 70s, Hillary Clinton.
Curious? Continue.
I really think, and let me make the case here, Hillary Clinton, she has seen, if I'm Hillary Clinton, and all I want is power, right? There are some people like that. She's one of them. I don't think she can be either the most dangerous person in politics or relatively inconsequential. It depends on which way the poll winds are blowing. Right? Or what she thinks will give her that opportunity. If I'm Hillary Clinton right now, and I'm sitting, going, wait a second. Kamala Harris didn't receive a single vote in a primary, and she's going to be the candidate. You can do that? And now she's realizing the Democrat Party has nothing to do with democracy. She doesn't have to go through a campaign. She doesn't have to debate. But if she cozies up, she can be installed into some kind of an unelected position from Kamala Harris. I think she's eyeing it, and I think that she's actually making her case publicly as to what kind of a position she would like. So she has been, that's just the premise, hot on the trail for Kamala. And she said that she is coaching Kamala on how to kill people. Sorry, beat Trump.
To what extent do you offer counsel or do you speak with Kamala Harris about how to run against Donald Trump?
You know, I've talked with Kamala a few times. I obviously talked with her before the debate. The stakes are even higher because he has a record. We have seen him try to abuse power. We have seen him try to overturn a legitimate, free, fair election. We have watched him bungle COVID and cause unnecessary deaths and pain. And in addition to that, he's told us what he's going to do. He is absolutely linked to this Project 2025 and all of their dark and dystopian efforts to turn the clock back on Americans' rights and the way we live.
Okay, a couple of quick things here. I don't want to have to go through a whole debunking because, Trump has nothing to do with 2025. He didn't abuse power, could have weaponized the DOJ and jailed political opponents. He didn't do that. He didn't bungle COVID. It was the Democrats who wanted to keep us shut down and said that they wouldn't take a vaccine, even if there was a rollout, as long as it happened under Donald Trump. Regarding 2020, Trump had legitimate questions about the election, as do a huge portion of Americans. All right, just so that you don't buy what she's selling. But her coaching Kamala, that's like if your football coach himself was Rudy, who had no business being on that field.
Lies.
Or like taking parenting advice from Casey Anthony.
Yes.
Come on. Yes. That's your counselor.
Hiring Diddy as a party planner.
It'd be a good party.
Or hiring Nicolas Cage to do your taxes.
Yes. Yes. Or taking singing lessons from this. Huh? Yeah. And by the way, we actually sent Lane the Brain, you guys gave him some very positive feedback yesterday, to catch up with Hillary and ask her if she would accept the position if offered. We have him, I think we have him, we have him on the line right now.
Yep.
Oh, no, Lane.
Got a little too close there, didn't he?
So let me give you the signs here as to why I think Hillary Clinton, and then I'll tell you what misinformations are. Okay, look, I'm just going to tell you. But the signs that she really, really wants power and she's gearing up. She is basically in the process of, she released a book, right, 7 weeks before an election, alongside coaching Kamala Harris. The book is Something Lost, Something Gained, Reflections on Life, Love, and Liberty. Well, it's funny because she took life, she took liberty, and she's never experienced love.
She knows nothing of all of those things.
It sounds like the messed up things that she did on our wedding night.
Yes, yes.
Okay, you need something lost, something gained, and you need to reflect on life, love, and I'm never going to have sex with my husband.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly right. Her Twitter, she just decided to kind of get back on X. The activity's picking up. She's now all of a sudden making a bunch of appearances on television, right? She disappeared for a very long time. She didn't anticipate looking like a Simon Birch lookalike. But
I mean, who does really?
And then she was asked about a potential role in the Harris administration, and she just couldn't help herself. She was like, well, I don't. Yes.
There is a Harris-Walz administration that you would
want
to play a part in.
What are we wearing, lingerie and a mood brooch now? Is that what's happening in news? Go ahead and play it.
Whether officially or unofficially?
Well, certainly unofficially, I want to be as helpful as I can and would do anything I was asked to be helpful. We have so much to do that it really should be all hands on deck, and anybody who can help in any capacity should be willing to do so.
Ah, yes, that's the phrase everyone wants to hear. Hey, I'm a Clinton, and I'm here to help. I'm gonna die.
Yep. Right before they do the little flash thing from Men in Black and then kill your family.
Yeah. Yes.
That was the last words John F. Kennedy Jr. heard.
Yes, exactly. Well,
hi, Hillary Clinton here to help.
Either, and as an aside, either the Clintons played a role in people dying, or there is an actual supernatural curse. There is no door number 3.
I think maybe a little both.
Just saying, you don't want to be standing near them in a thunderstorm.
That's right.
So
I would cry myself to sleep if I knew that many people who died. Every night I would cry myself to sleep.
Yes, you'd be like, oh my God, I'm a curse.
She sleeps like an opioid baby.
Yes. She's like a walking, just hexed bitch talisman. There's So let me get to the role. Here's the role that I think she wants. And this is why right now she could be one of the most dangerous people in politics. She is angling for, I strongly believe, a misinformation position. Let's call it misinformation czar. Right, we had that department. I forgot the name of the lady, and it was basically disbanded after about a month. That was designed to address disinformation. Here's the thing: Hillary Clinton didn't get the memo. Let me walk you through this. In 2021, she called for a global reckoning of disinformation. Okay, in 2023, she called for, and I don't know how you could word it worse. When people say, "Oh, you're just bringing a crazy conspiracy theorist," maybe if you said, "Hey, I'm concerned that someone has said, we need to do our best to stop the spread of fake news." But when you look at what Hillary Clinton said in 2023, she called for, quote, formal deprogramming of MAGA cultists.
So many of those extremists, those MAGA extremists, take their marching orders from Donald Trump, who has no credibility left by any measure. He's only in it for himself. He's now defending himself in civil actions and criminal actions. And when do they break with him? Because at some point, maybe there needs to be a formal deprogramming of the cult members.
Let me break that down. Deprogramming. You could say, well, I guess maybe she means, culturally. Maybe she means to say, like, hey, we need to educate people if we believe that they're misinformed. I believe that with people on the left. I believe that educating them, for example, like on abortion, just giving them a fetal chart, you'd be surprised how many people say, wow, I never knew that. So maybe she means education, but then you add formal in front of it. Formal, official, meaning government. When she said that Donald Trump is in it for himself, just address one thing here. There is not a family in American history who have gained more wealth exclusively at the taxpayer dime than the Clintons, except maybe the Kennedys. That's a fact. Because it's true. Now, Hillary Clinton, it gets worse. She supported, or said she would, civil and criminal penalties potentially for Americans spreading misinformation.
I think it's important to indict the Russians, just as Mueller indicted a lot of Russians who were engaged in direct election interference and boosting Trump back in 2016. But I also think there are Americans who are engaged in this kind of propaganda. And whether they should be civilly or even in some cases criminally charged is something that would be a better deterrence.
Okay. You first. You literally paid for propaganda that was proven false to be primarily sourced from Russian assets. You just described you, Hillary Clinton. She wants to jail you. She wants to charge you criminally for exactly what she did. And then Donald Trump is in it for himself. Let's use that as, okay, even if you accept Donald Trump was given $400 million from his father, which isn't true, he was given a sizable chunk of change. That's true. But nowhere near what the left claims. And then you can argue that he's a good or bad business person. I don't know if you know this, the fact that he filed bankruptcy means that there were profits and losses. That's what happens in private industry, which I know is very difficult for the Clintons to understand. Let's contrast that with the entirely selfless, altruistic Clintons and the Revive Clinton Foundation. 1997 to 2008, they raised over $490 million. Wow. $249 million of which in 2009 alone. First year as Secretary of State for Obama.
But no, that's on top. That's not that's not included in the $492 million. That's additionally.
Oh, that's right.
So
That's right. Yeah. It was 97, I believe, to 98. Let me look at my notes. I should do that. 97 to 2008, 492. Yeah. Then the next year, $249 million. Hey, hold on a second. What do you need to raise that for? You're already Secretary of State. It's not a campaign. You certainly didn't need that money to be for the campaign to be a senator in New York, where you never lived until 2 weeks ago when you rented a timeshare, whatever the hell. And over half of the private interests who met with the Clintons, or Hillary Clinton, sorry, obviously it's just her, as Secretary of State, they were donors. 2016, raised another $63 million when she was running. This is the foundation. We're not talking about the campaign directly. And then the donors pulled out when she lost the 2016 election. Now you look at 2021, donations are down about 75% from peak. It's not about the money. It's that she doesn't like being on the outside looking in. That's where we are at this point. She's made it really clear we need to jail opponents. We need to criminally charge people for misinformation. Don't take a look at what I've done. Donald Trump is in it for himself. Again, I will state this, there has never been a family, at least up until, with potentially the exception of the Kennedys, but it's a little bit murky there because they made a lot of their money in bootlegging first. The Clintons made pretty much no money first before public office. All of their money has been, I'm sorry, I misspoke, as public servants.
Yes.
I don't know if you know this. I don't know if you know, historically, here's the problem. And I just want to clarify, when you read, for example, like the Bible or history, and you see them talk about servants, you may not realize that it's been pretty standard that said servants receive $492 million.
That's a lot of service.
I'd love to be a servant.
Yeah.
Actually.
Yeah. And by the way, you don't serve anybody. You take that from the people, when you're in office through no decision. It's almost like, it's almost like you're a tyrant, not the servant. Sorry, public servant. There's no term that I hate more than public servant applied to the Clintons or applied to the Tim Walz of the world or the Nancy Pelosi's. Let me ask you this. Let's use the term servant. Okay, who do they serve? Who do they serve if they make more money than you could hope to in a lifetime and it's not just their public salary? Who do they serve? Who does Hillary Clinton serve? Who does she want to serve? Aside from you with papers to be hauled off into court if you say that Kamala Harris is an idiot, because that could only be coming straight from Putin. But she could end up with a cabinet position. You tell me which one you think. I've made my bet. Only one thing we know for certain is that Hillary Clinton will not be having sex with Bill Clinton. Most happy about it is this guy.
He looks high.
Yeah, he does.
He's married to Hillary Clinton.
Did I miss anything?
Good point.
No? Okay.
Nailed it.
That's just me making, I really do. You're going to see it, and they may have to say, well, it won't be a misinformation position. They'll give her, but that's what she really wants.
Yes.
She really, really wants to be able to silence and jail political opposition.
Power. It's just that the power that she wants. I saw a chart going around. I'm not 100% sure where the information was sourced from, but it's the presidents and how much money they had when they came into office and when they left office. And I believe it was showing that Donald Trump is the only one to lose money.
Yeah.
From when he came into office to when he left office. Everybody else's fortunes grew massively while they were in office. Certainly more than the $400,000 a year that they're paid as president of the United States. Yeah. Now, I understand you improve properties and stuff like that, and that can increase it, but hundreds of millions of dollars more? Seriously, Democrats? It's insane. So if we can pull that up, research, if you guys can find that chart that's kind of floating around out there and see if it's true.
Because we want to bolster your argument that they're clearly public servants.
Yes.
Do you think when somebody associated with the Clintons accidentally, of course, dies, that some breakdancer shows up and goes, "You just got served"? I like to think.
Or what if they say it would be if they're like, "You got Clintoned"? I mean, served.
I mean,
shoot, and then they die.
Their assassins are called process servers.
Yes, exactly. I just sometimes just look. I'm like, oh shit.
And you know,
this is the state of our country. That someone like that or Gretchen Whitmer is even close to office. The fact that
she literally said that last week, dude. I know. Said September 17th. She said she wants to anybody who votes for Trump. That's a MAGA cultist.
Well, she said the criminal charges. I think the deprogramming was back in the last campaign.
Oh, okay.
That was a while. But she did say they should be civilly and potentially held criminally liable. This is literally someone who created a dossier, opposition research on Donald Trump that perpetuated one of the most time and cost-intensive witch hunts of our recent political history. And one of the primary sources was Russian disinformation. Not for Trump, that Hillary Clinton enlisted through proxy. She has no fear of being, it's like, well, you just described your crimes against humanity. No. I mean other people.
Now, look at this chart really quickly. And again, I need to make sure, I don't know if we've fully vetted this chart, but just look at some of the numbers here, right? It goes up under Reagan and Bush, obviously they increased their wealth, but then you get to Bill Clinton, $1.3 million to $241.5 million. This is their net worth before entering office and then after leaving. George Bush doubles his, fine. I understand it's still going to go up. I don't know if that's customary or not, but it's $20 million. It's not nothing. Barack Obama, $1.3 million. To $70 million. And then you get down to Donald Trump, $3.7 billion down to $2.5 billion. Look at the numbers grow under Clinton from $1.3 million to $241.5 million. Yeah. That's not Secret Service improvements to be able to make sure that you can go and have a vacation at whatever home you own, right? In Arkansas or
Epstein
someplace
Island.
or Epstein Island. That is insane growth. And so is Obama's $1.3 to $70 million. Like that is insane growth. I don't know how that I don't know how you can get to that number and not.
Well, what happens is, of course, you do have insight, but then they go, "Oh, I made it all with books and speaking fees," which again only exists, or afterward, which only exists because of the platform that you enjoyed at the taxpayer expense.
I think so. I need to do a little bit of deep dive into this and see when they pulled that number. Is it the day they left office, or is it a year after they left office? If it's a year, then I understand a little bit more of the growth. If it's the day they left office, I understand none of the growth.
No, 70 million is just that 70 million is just 8 years of times 400,000.
think of it this way. Take the biggest.
That adds up.
Take the biggest touring comedians in the world, right? Okay.
Yeah.
They are not going to be growing their net worth by $70 million in a couple years'
4
time.
years, 8
but
years.
people will pay more than the highest paid entertainer in the world to have the Clintons or Obamas speak at a ballroom B in a Hyatt. Shut up. So,
I mean, if
talk about the
those
Hyatt,
numbers are
dude.
true, Trump lost over $1 billion.
yeah. Well, you know it's true because the left bragged about it.
BBC
He
even-
lost money.
Yeah, the BBC confirmed those. We know those for sure.
Yeah.
It was the other ones that I wanted to kind
That's
of double check.
insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, you know what? Even if you don't like the guy, you do have to acknowledge objectively that there was a sacrifice. Also, he was shot. So a lot of people, I want to move on to other states here. You keep hearing that Pennsylvania, Georgia are going to decide the election. And that very well may be true. But there's another state here that's pretty important, and it could be more important if this shift that may take place takes place. I know it's going to surprise Nebraska. That is definitely not the first one that popped into your mind.
No, it's
so
not.
Maine, Nebraska, they're the only states that split their electoral votes. And right now, so Nebraska, for example, there's all of Nebraska, then there's Omaha, and that one goes to Democrats, typically. Okay? Break it down simply enough. Republicans are now trying, or at least they're engaging in an effort to change how the votes are counted for them to be kind of more similarly to the rest of the Electoral College.
That nightmare scenario I mentioned now, the question will go to you, Ashley. Nebraska, one of just 2 states that doesn't have a winner-take-all system for electoral votes. Nebraska has one electoral vote that typically goes Democratic. Republicans want to change that, meaning all of the state's electoral votes would go to Trump. And that then creates this possible scenario of a 269-269 tie. So the election would be thrown to the House, likely giving Trump the victory.
Right. So there are some people who believe that Nebraska should be doing this in a way similar to other states where it's winner take all as far as the Electoral College is concerned. And then other critics are saying because Omaha is so different from the rest of Nebraska, it's almost like a mini Electoral College. They're not adequately represented in Nebraska as a whole. Of course, there are still some voters in Nebraska who are advocating for election by thunder vote. 2 districts enter, 1 vote leaves.
That's a huge line.
Yeah. Listen, it's nothing but corn. I've been there.
Yes.
Omaha to Lincoln Drive is like 2.5, whatever hours of corn. That's it.
And Warren Buffett, he still brings a boxed lunch, just like you.
And the Little League World Series is there.
Oh!
Don't forget. And they got the steaks, I heard.
Well, if they switch this, I will tell you this, Donald Trump could win the election again without Wisconsin, without Michigan, or Pennsylvania.
Wow.
Because it would go to a tie, and then it would be a House vote.
Yes, so it would go to a tie. And you know what's interesting right now? The reason people are pissed is that Maine, when Nebraska talked about doing this, Maine said, if you do it, we'll do it as well, and it'll basically nullify. It'll cancel out, right? Because it goes the other way, I believe, in Maine. They said that. Now, they're doing it before Maine can actually do it. Maine, if they pass a law, it takes 90 days for it to go on the books, and we're shorter than that to the election. We're under 90 days, so it wouldn't go into effect until the next election cycle. Mm-hmm. So that's really why they're pissed off and calling it the nightmare scenario.
Right.
Even though it's completely legal for Nebraska to do this at whatever point they want.
Right. And I get it, but I also think you already have the Electoral College for a reason. You know what I mean? It's so that we don't have this inequitable, to use the term of the left, distribution of influence as far as major cities. But if you did it this way, if you did it the way that Nebraska is doing it, you actually probably would never see a Democrat victory again. Because even if you look at places like California, you have like 4 major cities, maybe 5, and you go inland and it's pretty much all red.
Yeah.
So there are arguments to be made on both sides. And the issue here is there definitely seems to be something corrupt afoot. So the governor there, Jim Pillen, said that he would call a special session to vote on the issue. And then you have the state senator, Mike McConnell, said that he wouldn't support the change.
I know McConnell sucks.
Oh, did I say McConnell? Sorry, McDonald said, after deep consideration, it is clear to me that right now, 43 days from Election Day is not the moment to make this change. But keep in mind, this guy also specifically said he was interested in running for mayor of Omaha. And he switched from Democrat to Republican this April. So he switched from Democrat to Republican to potentially run as mayor of the one district that is Democrat in all of Nebraska. I don't know what to make of that, other than he obviously doesn't really seem to have convictions as it relates to anything. Also, that Donald Trump ripped him on Truth Social, which one could expect. He said,
I would like to thank Governor Jim Pillen of Nebraska for trying to help the Republican Party simplify the complexity of the state's electoral map. And it's too complex, folks. Very complex. It would have been better and far less expensive for everyone! Exclamation point. Unfortunately, a Democrat turned Republican, state senator named Mike McDonnell decided for no reason whatsoever to get in the way of a great Republican common sense victory. Just another grandstander.
Grandstander. By the way, he did go on to say, legitimately, in that there are two other, I guess, Republican no votes right now that maybe they're putting some pressure on to change their no vote to a yes vote.
Right.
So we'll see how it goes.
Well, there's a lot that could happen in Nebraska, of course. And by the way, click that button if you have not joined Mug Club yet and you want to continue seeing us in more undercover investigations. Tomorrow we do have one actually continuing on the J. Varma story.
Doctor.
We may need to make some changes because, it's like we kind of already hit a home run.
We'll have
we appreciate it. But there's a full show tomorrow, and we have some new exclusive footage that if some people are saying, well, why didn't you release more footage? Because you're not ready for what we have tomorrow. And we actually do have, that's right. I think they pulled in one.